on Halloween, Friday, October 31st. Thinking about my Aunt Chris, hoping she's doing well. She had hip surgery yesterday. I haven't heard back, but I know that's a lot, it's a big procedure and probably, would knock her out for a while. Anyway, starting here at the Sunoco corner, and again, they don't have all their lights on. In the past, there were show lights on the canopy poles. So this has been a theme in Philadelphia that some entities, this, lone gas station, there aren't tons in down. This is the only one like in Center City. You have to sort of like go a little bit south. Right on the edges of Center City, you find gas stations. But Pico, of course, has there are other buildings like there's the stick of the Comcast Center too. That's in the past it was left on 24/7. It's not lit, so I'm guessing Comcast 1 is not lit. Also, there's two buildings that anchor shops at Liberty Place. There's the one that had the observation tower thing, lookout center. That's no longer open, but it houses a lot of businesses and stuff like that. They usually have like sort of zigzaggy lights. It comes and goes with them, whether they're on or not. Let me see. It's hard to see from here, but and on the other side, they have the residences at the shops of Liberty Place or whatever. There's a 2 in the mix there somewhere, and they also have a zigzag, lighting situation. Those lights have been on and off each day and night. I mean night really, like sunset to sunrise. And the Bank of New York, BNY Mellon building, which houses a lot of companies, including Decker, which is a law firm. Decker whatever, LLC. And Ballard's Bar. Also, Fidelity is at the bottom there. I heard they're supposed to watch in on BNY. But that's the word, because one of my clients uses Fidelity, and somehow it came across like, oh, they're down there because they have to keep an eye on back in New York, trying to get all up in the family business. So it's from here you can't see those buildings, but it's a pyramid. It looks like a mini Louvre, So it hasn't been lit every night. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. But consistently, Comcast has been out. Are they trying to save money? Are they sending a message? Are we supposed to get the message? Do you have to be super high level to get the message? The message would be lights out. This happened to my mom. She was in hospice care back at the house where she lived with my aunt. And excuse the wind, by the way, it's been pretty windy this morning. She was in the hospital for like 6 weeks, back and forth, went to physical therapy, then they readmitted her through the ER. Like, she went through a cycle 3 times through ER, back into the hospital. And finally came home for hospice, and about 2-ish days, 2 or 3 days, I guess 2-ish days, we wanted to mess up the number system. 2 days. This is quite sad, but 2 days before she would pass, the lights went out in the cul-de-sac where they lived. And I think my aunt got the message. Like, oh, that's it. They're giving a signal. It's it. The clock is ticking. We're on the, downslope, So, or, her, she's officially in the downslope period of hospice. And it was kind of weird. It was like being in the Others movie or whatever, where everybody's like hush hush, like, ooh, the lights went out. They lived in a circle. It used to be called Quail Court. They changed the entire address system there before I got down there. So sometime around 2016-17, they had a vote. They had to change the address system for emergency responders. It became numeric as opposed to like lot 311 in Quail Court. It became like 8532. That's not the right number. I forget the number. In 40th Northwest 40th Terrace. Oh, you have a camper on me. So on a landing here. And that's a good idea. anyway, in our little section, the lights went out. And sure enough, my mom would pass away within like 2 days. You know, hospice lasted a while. It was more than 2 weeks. I remember thinking that a lot of people had the idea of 2 weeks being sort of, right, the pyramid is on, Comcast is not. So BNY is on as lavender. And Independence Blue Cross is on. But she lasted longer than 2 weeks in hospice. It was closer to 3. Or even 4. It was a while. It was beyond the point where they send a free aide in to help out. I got a little agitated with 1 or 2 of the aides because, I don't know, people like to take control or take over, and I was like, I don't think so, you know. So, nothing worse than people trying to take over or steal your parents, you know. You're like, bitch, I don't think so. So, anyway, and the day before my dad would pass away, which was just months later in December, coronavirus, he lived with his second wife of many years in a different town in Florida, Bradenton. We were in Gainesville. Someone cut down a tree on the next street over. So I would go run an errand and I'm hearing this, you know. So I'm wondering how grotesque it is out there, and if people get all excited about trying to diminish and erase even a family tree. So that's what came up. I was like, that is too whack. And sure enough, he passed away the next day on the 20th of December. And can you believe my aunt had to go into the hospital on the 21st of December? She had asthma. Everyone's passed away now. Right, a lot of lights not on over there. So she had asthma, and every once in a while it would flare up. She was 84. She had just turned 84, in fact. And it seemed to flare up. I wondered if she panicked because I was living with her with my mom, and both parents, of course, both of my parents passed away while I was there. Of course, my sister was in Delaware. And, so I don't know if she started panic, or, again, if invisible entities could scare the heebie-jeebies out of people or try to take people down. I am here to say, even with my academic, logical career with evidence-based, you know, tangible stuff, people can be attacked invisibly. So I've been attacked. They started showing it ages ago, but I would chalk it off to, or like write it off to like, or chalk it up to, like, okay, that's some weird pain or whatever, but I swear to God, ages ago I felt like someone whipped me in my shins, and I had to like sort of fall down in a ball, like not fall, it was more like whoa, you know, and grab my shins. This was ages ago when I lived above Dirty Frank's, which used to be a Pearl Properties apartment building. It's a little small one over at 13th Pond, northeast corner